On Celebration TV, I am Comfort James.
And I'm Femi Mark.
And the news making the rounds.
Please stay with us as we bring you details.
Watch robust, objective, analytical, informative, educative, entertaining and inspiring news on Celebration TV News Desk. Every weekday, 11 a.m. GMT +1. That is 11 a.m. GMT +1 on Mondays through Fridays.
You are welcome to Sports Corner. I am Ivan Agafe.
Celebration TV News Desk. The whole truth.
To 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross of people.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosu.
It's Thursday, September 17. Welcome to the news desk on Celebration TV. I am Belly Squetha, and thanks for joining us. And here's the news making the rounds. 3 policemen to man each ENQUIRY polling unit, says the DIG. Uganda jailbreak, more than 200 prisoners escape Moroto facility. Biden says US trade deals hinges on UK respect for Good Friday agreement. Airlines with operator certificates to receive palliatives, says the NCAA. And Leeds and Southampton crash out of League Cup. Stay with us as the details of the news comes after the break. Welcome back. Now the news in details. 3 policemen to man each ENQUIRY polling unit, says the DIG. Deputy Inspector General of Police Adeleye Oyebade has warned those planning to ferment during the Edo State governorship election on Saturday to have a rethink, because the police were prepared to clamp down all troublemakers. Oyebade gave this warning while addressing journalists alongside sister security agencies in Benin. On Wednesday, the DIG said police officers comprising conventional plain-clothed policemen and special forces have been deployed to provide security during and after the election. He appealed to the politicians and their supporters to refrain from making inflammatory comments which could lead to a breach of peace. Oyebade implored the media and the National Orientation Agency to help sensitize the electorate, while pledging that officers and men of the police will conduct themselves in a professional manner. He said for effective manning of polling booths, no fewer than 3 police officers and personnel of other security agencies will be deployed in each of the 2,627 polling booths. Oyebade said the police had a resolve to protect the democratic process by providing enabling and leveling playing grounds for all actors. And now moving forward, the federal government plans new agency on recovered loot management. The Federal Executive Council has approved a bill that seeks to, amongst other things, create an agency that will be saddled with the responsibility of managing proceeds from crimes in Nigeria. With Wednesday's approval of bill titled Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Agency Bill, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami San, was directed to transmit same to the National Assembly for the purpose of passing it into law. Malami disclosed this to State House correspondents at the end of the weekly meeting of the council presided over by the President Muhammadu Buhari. Buhari presided over the virtual meeting for the council chamber of the presidential villa, Abuja, with some ministers in attendance while others participated from their offices. According to the Minister of Justice, the current situation in the country is that proceeds of crimes are currently and with multiple government agencies. He said after the passage of the bill and the creation of the agency, the organization would be solely responsible for managing the proceeds of crimes in Nigeria. Malami added that once there is budget line for recovered assets directed by the president, the agency to be created would be in a position to provide information to the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning and demand concerning what amount is available for budget purposes, thereby establishing the desired transparency which has not been available before now. And coming up in another story, Malami becomes life bencher amid call for SAN rank withdrawal. The body of benchers, which admits Nigerian lawyers into the legal profession and sanctions them for unethical conduct, has honored the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami SAN, with the rank of life bencher. The honor came at a time that some lawyers were demanding that Malami be stripped of the SAN title. A petition against Malami on charge.com stated on Sunday by an Abuja-based lawyer, Izu Aniagu, has garnered over 2,400 signatures as of Wednesday night. It was gathered that Malami and 12 others were elevated to the rank of life bencher at a meeting of the body of benchers earlier this week, presided over by the chairman of the body of benchers, OCJ Okafor San, a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association. The petition demanding that Malami be stripped of his SAN rank was predicted on this recent unilateral amendment to the rules of professional conduct for legal practitioners in 2007. The AGF reportedly deleted the provision of the RPC, which makes it mandatory for lawyers to purchase and affix the NBA stamp and seal on papers they are filing in court. The removal of the requirement for the NBA stamp and the seal by Malami was interpreted by some lawyers as a tactical way of weakening the NBA at a time when some groups of northern lawyers were promoting a parallel association named the New Nigerian Bar Association. Aniagu, who stated that online petition against Malami, argued that the unilateral amendment to the RPC by him was a threat to the rule of law. Aniagu said Malami ought to be stripped of the NBA rank for his latest action, coupled with his previous other alleged wrongdoings ranking from disobedience to court orders, to his lackluster prosecution, to his outright failure to prosecute, to allegations of corruption and bias against his person, to the usurpation of office, to shielding of suspects, to his general deregulation of duty. And now on news coming from around Africa, Uganda jailbreak, more than 200 prisoners escape Moroto facility. More than 200 prisoners have escaped from a jail in northeast Uganda, officials say, bringing the local town to a standstill while security forces try to track them down. The inmates reportedly killed a soldier after they broke out of the facility in Moroto before heading for the hill. The army and prison officials are pursuing the escapees, who reportedly made off with 15 guns and ammunition. An army spokesman said 2 inmates have been captured and 2 killed. The prison facility is built on the foothill of Mount Moroto on the edge of the town. And according to an Associated Press report, the inmates took off their distinctive yellow prison uniforms and fled naked into the hills to avoid detection. Local reports say the shootout has brought business in Moroto to a standstill. Moroto is the biggest town in Karamoja, a restive region with a history of cattle rusting and gun violence. The BBC's Patience Tivo reports from Kampala. And a government disarmament program in the early 2000s took most of the guns out of the hands of civilians, but sporadic clashes between different communities have continued to happen. And still from Africa, from around Africa, coronavirus South Africa eases strict lockdown as cases drop. South Africa, which has one of the world's easiest and strictest lockdown, has announced a further easing of anti-coronavirus measures. From the 20th of September, an overnight curfew would be reduced, gathering with the allowed at 50% of a venue's capacity, and alcohol will again be on sale. And the President Cyril Ramaphosa said they have withstood coronavirus storm. He said it in a televised address to the nation, but rules on social distancing and mask wearing will remain in place. South Africa, which went into a national lockdown on the 27th of March, has so far reported more than 650,000 confirmed infections with over 15,000 deaths. However, the number of new cases have dropped from about 12,000 per day in July to fewer than 2,000 per day. The president announced that following consultations with health experts and officials from across South Africa, the country would lower its current alert level 2 to level 1 from midnight on the 20th of September. South Africa shut its borders at the start of the lockdown, but President Ramaphosa said that international travel will resume from the 1st of October. Those arriving in South Africa must present a negative coronavirus test taken within 3 days of travel. Mr. Ramaphosa also said that a further stimulus package was being drawn up to rebuild an economy that has been savaged by the lockdown. We're going to break right now. When we come back, we get more updates from the United States of America. Stay with us.
To every gathering, there is a waiting. To every act of remembrance, there is a sure visitation. For the Lord is mighty to save. His arms are stretched forth to deliver.
Papa, sir, her legs and hands were bound. Papa, she was mad. Been mad for 2 years.
Mad for 2 years. Are you just looking?
Hallelujah.
September to remember 2020. Pray until something happens.
Say, my father, my father. As I begin to pray,
Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman, happening on the 23rd through 27th September 2020 at the International Worship Center, Omega Fire Ministries headquarters, kilometer 132 Benin Okene Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. The time is 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. daily. For inquiries, please call. September to remember. It is time to travel.
Welcome back now. Updates from the United States of America, where Biden says U.S. trade deals hinges on UK respect for Good Friday Agreement. Joe Biden has said he will not allow peace in Northern Ireland to become a casualty of Brexit if he is elected U.S. president in November. The Democratic candidate said any UK-US trade deal has to be contingent on respect for the Good Friday Agreement. Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab has been trying to reassure U.S. politicians about the latest Brexit development during a trip to Washington. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said he trusted the UK to get this right, but the UK Speaker Nancy Pelosi said there was no chance for a UK-US trade deal getting through the US Congress if the UK violated international agreements, undermining the Good Friday Agreement. After a meeting with Mr. Raab, the Speaker of the House of Representatives said the UK's exit from the EU could not be allowed to imperil peace in Northern Ireland. Brexit is high on the agenda of the Washington meetings after the Internal Market Bill cleared its first parliamentary hurdle earlier this week. The proposal law would give the UK government the power to override part of the Brexit withdrawal deal, which Prime Minister Boris Johnson agreed with the EU last October. It now faces further scrutiny in the House of Commons and order needs to be passed by the House of Lords. If the law comes into force, it will breach international law, a prospect that prompted an angry response from senior figures in the US last week. And now more updates from Europe. Coronavirus Ukraine accuses Belarus over stranded Jewish pilgrims. Ukraine has accused Belarus of stoking tension over hundreds of Hasidic Jewish pilgrims stranded at their border. The office of Ukraine's president said Belarus was spreading false hope that the pilgrims could cross. Belarus wants a corridor to be opened for them. The pilgrims are trying to travel to the town of Uman for the Jewish New Year to pay respect to the tomb of the founder of the Hasidic movement. Ukraine has closed its border to foreigners to limit COVID-19. The restrictions applied from 28th of August to 28th of September. And Ukraine-Belarus relations soared after Ukraine joined the European Union in refusing to recognize the re-election of Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko last month. Israel, meanwhile, is the first country to impose a second national COVID-19 lockdown, set to start on Friday after a large spike in infections. Right down on business news, power producers sell 294.16 billion naira electricity in 5 months. Electricity generation companies in the country sold electricity worth 294.16 billion naira in the first 5 months of this year to the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC. The government-owned NBET buys electricity in bulk from GENCOs through power purchase agreements and sells through vesting contracts to the distribution companies, which then supply it to the consumers. NBET received a total invoice of 294.16 billion naira from the GENCOs in 5 months period, but paid only 57.98 billion naira, representing 19.71% of the invoice, according to data obtained from the bulk trader. The GENCOs gave NBET an invoice of 51.85 billion naira in January, 51.42 billion naira in February, 52.82 billion naira in March, 70.03 billion naira in April, and 68.04 billion naira in May. But the bulk trader only paid 15.61 billion naira in January, 13.09 billion naira in February, 5.84 billion naira in March, 10.19 billion naira in April, and 13.25 billion naira in May. The total power generation in the country stood at 3,105.7 megawatts as of 6 a.m. on Tuesday, with 12 of the 27 power plants on the national grid being idle, according to the Nigerian Electricity System Operator. And according to the NBET, the payment of the GENCOs are based on receipts from the DISCOs. The NERC said the DISCOs will be liable to relevant penalties and sanctions for failure to meet the minimum remittance requirement in any payment cycle in accordance with the terms and its respective contracts with the NBET and market operators, an arm of the Transmission Company of Nigeria. And according to the regulator, where a discos failed to take its entire load of allocation due to constraints in the own network, it shall be liable to pay the capacity charge as allocated in its vesting contract. And still on the business news, airlines with operator certificates to receive palliatives, says the NCAA. The Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Captain Musa Nuhu, has said government palliatives would only be covered airlines with valid air operator certificates. Nuhu said this in a media session with journalists on Wednesday. He said any airline can apply, whether functioning or not, but it is a policy that participating airlines must be functioning and with air operators certificates. He said he also believes that the AON has its own set of rules and they know the criteria will not put forward a non-functioning airline. He further explained that the decision to cut down major organs of the authority from 9 to 6 was to strengthen the aviation body. Nuhu added that the Directorate of Consumer Protection has not been scrapped. We'll go on another break. When we come back, we take news from the world of sports. Don't go anywhere.
Has come for the gathering of sons to get recharged and revitalized.
The church that cannot be despised is a church of testimonies.
An outburst of revival.
Shagada.
There's a revival!
Let's take it.
International Ministers Conference October edition.
Testimonies are the trademark of God's mandate.
Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman, 28th through 30th October 2020. Ministers without blemish. Time 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. GMT+1. Happening live at the International Worship Center, Omega Fire Ministries, Kilometer 132, Benin Okene Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. For inquiries, please call Ministers without blemish. Prepare for your next level.
Welcome back, and now on sports news, the NBBF's 150 million naira deal excites players and coaches. Basketball players and coaches are hopeful the recent 150 million naira 5-year deal between the Nigerian Basketball Federation and energy giants Total E&P will improve the standard of the country's Division 1 and 2 leagues. The deal between the NBBF and Total, which was officially signed on Tuesday in Lagos, would run from 2020 to 2025, with both divisions receiving 15 million naira each annually to organize and run the leagues. Coach of 2019 Division 1 champions Impression Academy, Asaba, Kenneth Mfon, says the sponsorship deal is a welcome development, especially for grassroots sports. He says he's happy the NBBF has been able to improve the grassroots. The deal brings a lot of hope to players, coaches and teams playing grassroots basketball in the country. It will also expose these players to bigger stage. The competition helps pick good players for the National Sports Festival and the country's junior national teams. Titans coach Andrea Chebe stated that it is a welcome development for those who are in the lower divisions. He said the sponsors have done their part, so the administrators need to look for a way to make good use of the money, as it will ensure the smooth running of the league and players will also become more exposed. And in another sports story, and last on the news desk, Leeds and Southampton crash out of League Cup. Leeds and Southampton were the Premier League casualties in the second round of the League Cup on Wednesday, as League One Hull won a Yorkshire derby 9-8 on penalties at Elland Road, while Saints lost 2-0 at home to Brentford. On their first appearance in the top flight for 16 years, Leeds were unlucky not to hold Liverpool to a thrilling draw at Anfield on Saturday, but Marcelo Bielsa's decision to make 11 changes backfired, as his sides were far less clinically against a team 2 divisions below them. Malik Willick's early deflected effort gave the Tigers something to hold on to, and despite handling club's Spanish international forward Rodrigo his first start, Leeds failed to muster a response until deep into the stoppage time when Ejang Alieski fired home. A marathon shootout followed, with both sides missing just one of the first 8 penalties before Jamie Stockleton's sports kick was saved and Alfie Jones sent Hull into round 3. Southampton's boss Ralph Hasenhuttl named a strong side as St Mary's, but still got no response from their disappointing start to the season at Crystal Palace on Saturday. Brentford narrowly missed the promotion to the Premier League for the first time when they lost the playoffs final at Fulham last month, but showed they do have the quality to compete with top-flight teams despite losing top scorer Oli Watkins to Aston Villa. And 2 goals in 6 minutes towards the end of the first half from Christian Norgard and Josh Da Silva handed the best place in the third round. Everton enjoyed a far more comfortable night as Carlo Ancelotti's much changed team were still too good to League Two Salford City, who are past owned by a cast and former Manchester United star, including David Beckham. And that's the size of the news for us on Celebration Television News Desk. If you're just joining us right now, here's a recap of the news making the headlines. 3 policemen to man Edo polling units, DIG says, and Uganda jailbreak. More than 200 prisoners escape Moroto facility. Biden says US trade deal hinges on UK respect for Good Friday Agreement. Airlines with operator certificates to receive palliatives, says the NCAA. And on sports, Leeds and Southampton crash out of League Cup. And today on our photo of the day, we see a man jumping to success, and this says all it takes to receive and to achieve success is to make an effort. All it takes to achieve success is to make an effort. You need to make an effort to achieve success. Success is not achieved by staying on the same position. You need to jump into that place. All right, give us your thoughts on our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Celebration TV. On Instagram, we are My Celebration TV. On Twitter, we are at My Celebration TV. On YouTube, it is Celebration TV. And never forget that the continuous transformation of our society is a collective responsibility of all. No matter the office you hold as a nation's president, a thought leader, an opinion model, a character builder, a professional, as a person pursuing passion, you have a duty to give your all to making the society a better place for us and the generations to come. Play your parts and do it with all diligence. Thanks for watching the news on Celebration Television News Desk. I am Belly Squatter. Have a beautiful day.
to 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun.